Hey guys, how's it going? I thought I'd do a video here today to discuss two widely used VR controllers in the PC VR community. They are of course the Vive Wands as well as the Valve Knuckles or the Valve Index controllers, whatever you want to refer to them as. Both of these controllers have used extensively in VR with a multitude of titles. The two main ones I want to discuss here today are Boneworks as well as Half-Life Alyx, which you'll see a couple of clips coming up very shortly regarding the overall differences between the finger tracking as well as the interactions between objects and things like that in the game. But once it does come down to it, when you're looking at, say, which one you should go out and purchase, there are so many factors involved with what you should be going with. It comes down to you, the user, and everything else. For me, with the Vive Wands, one of the key things that, I do quite enjoy with the Vive Wands is the weight behind the controllers. It does feel quite nice, especially when you're utilizing, say, an object or something like that, to have a slightly top-heavy controller, especially when you are using a pistol in, say, Boneworks, for example. One of the key things that I would like to note is with the Vive Wands, you, say, for example, are using the touchpad. As long as the game is programmed to pretty much make the touchpad act like more of a traditional D-pad, so you press left, right, up, or down, your character will move left, right, up, or down. And that's one of the main points I'd like to make about the trackpad, because a lot of people look at, say, the trackpad and think, I don't want to utilize a trackpad, I'll prefer a joystick, which I completely understand that. It's pretty much been a universal standard towards movement in pretty much all games in general, for a multitude of years. But when you actually break it down simply, the touchpad itself, it feels, decent as long as it is programmed to act like more of a traditional D-pad. But it does feel quite nice. I was first put off by utilizing the Vive Wands. I thought, it's going to be a terrible experience, but as long as it's programmed that way, it is pretty much fine. Now, in a game like Boneworks, which one of the things I like to point out is there's a thing known as toggle grip with the Vive Wands. So an example is when you're, say, gripping an object, you drag it towards you and you catch the object and then you let go of the object. The pistol itself, you will still be gripping the pistol even though you have let go of the buttons. So you can, say, position the controller to be in a different location. So you can have like the controller more towards, say, the tracking ring if you'd like. So, having it up there might be more comfortable for you as well. You don't have to constantly grip the controller. You can sort of just rest it in your hand and have it orientated a certain way. You don't have to grip it or apply too much force in order to utilize the controller. One of the key things I'd like to note as well when I'm, say, for example, playing Boneworks with this controller here, the tracking is absolutely amazing with the Vive Wands. So yeah, both controllers, the Valve Index as well as the Vive Wands, the tracking is absolutely premium regardless of which one you go for. But so yeah, two key takeaways is the toggle grip in, say, a game like Boneworks. So it does feel quite nice, as well as the top heavy aspect of the controller as well. But with that said, the Index does have a bit of weight, or the controllers do have a bit of weight. But in regards to what these controllers, have with the overall design and everything else, the Vive one does sort of have a bit of an edge in regards to weight and how it's distributed in the controller. But yeah, so with the Vive Wands as well, you have really decent build quality. So I've hit this controller in to my desk and also my entertainment unit, and it looks pretty much brand new. Like, I haven't even got a scuff or a scathe on it or anything like that. So if you're in the market for a controller that will actually at least can take a beating in some way, shape, or form, then yeah, the Vive Wands are definitely a controller that I would go for that reason. But with that said, once it does come down to it, for me, I enjoy having both, because it comes down to what type of experience I'm actually after. Case in point with the Index controllers, there are certain features which no VR controller has to this day, which it's kind of just disappointing. I'd like to actually see a different revision, I guess, on what the Index actually has. Now with me, this is my second lot of index controllers, and I've got to say, I'm disappointed with the first lot that I had. It had issues with the thumbsticks, where they just would not operate the way they should. So a prime example is my right thumbstick. It would get stuck up the top when I'll be playing, certain games, and it would just have an issue as well with the left thumbstick, where a certain section just would not respond to, me. So it's diagonal left down, I think it was, just would not respond at all. Nevertheless, this is my second lot of index controllers, and, it's been absolutely fantastic overall with the experience I have. So yeah, the touch capacitors and everything else, they work fantastically. Now, I just want to point out with this, with the footage of Half-Life Alyx here, now you will notice when I say grab one of the cans, with, the index controllers versus the Vive ones, you'll notice how it is a smooth animation when I say crush the can. So the more force I apply to the touch capacitive sensor with the index controllers, the more force that will be applied in game. So, Valve kind of did design, Alyx with the index controllers in mind. Obviously, they were trying to sell their headsets and their hardware. But, once it does come down to it, the index controllers are nothing but fantastic, apart from the, the issue I had, with my first lot. But the second lot I did obtain, it's been nothing but, a fantastic experience. I've had no issues at all. Battery life and everything else has been great. I have hit these controllers into my desk and everything else. I need to make myself more aware of my surroundings. But anyway, both of these controllers look pretty much brand new. There's no issues at all that I've had with them. I guess with that said, your mileage may vary. So for example, you may obtain some index controllers and they could end up having issues. But pretty much what I'll describe these controllers as is pretty much interactive devices. With how they are, with the finger tracking, as long as, the titles actually have it implemented so they can take advantage of that, then, the index controllers are pretty much one of the best options on the market. But yeah, so pretty much with both of these controllers here, they will deliver nothing but a great experience in VR. For me personally, with how, I play VR, it just comes down to what type of mood I'm in. So I may prefer the weight and how the wands feel versus the index and vice versa. But once it does come down to it, if I had to choose between one or the other, I would go with the index due to the wider feature set of what the controllers offer. The finger tracking, the fact that it actually has thumbsticks, that can be, a thing that can make or break, someone's experience. But yeah, so with the wands, with the touchpad, it's still, as long as it's programmed to pretty much act like more of a traditional D-pad, then, the experience actually is not too bad. It's responsive, it works in games like Boneworks and Half-Life Alyx, and, several other games I've played as well. The reason why I'm mentioning these two games in particular is because of the fact these games are quite popular. A lot of people will go out there and, pretty much they'll play these games again and again. Like, I've played through the Boneworks campaign that many times, I'd literally have lost track of how many times I've actually completed the campaign. It's just that good. But yeah, anyway, to sum up the video here, what I would recommend going for is pretty much both. Both give nothing but a great experience. One is slightly better than the other, which the index controllers are. You have the hand strap, which, it is fantastic. So when you throw objects in the game, the controller's not going to become loose or whatever. But with that said, when you're using the Vive wands as well, you're not going to be too concerned about, throwing the objects in game. It's all to do with muscle memory and everything else. You eventually build it up with both controllers. Like at first when I played with the wands, it wasn't too much of an issue for me, primarily because, the first ever controllers I had were the HTC Vive Cosmos controllers. And, I never dropped the controllers. I, did the typical thing of throwing objects in game and stuff like that, and I never had a problem with it. But it's just something you have to sort of get used to, I guess. You do have the hand straps and everything else if you really need them, but I don't use them because just me, I've built up muscle memory to the point of where if I'm going to throw an object when I'm using the wands, I will grip it with my thumb and let go of the button, move the controller in the direction I want to throw the object in. And yeah, so anyway guys, that's pretty much it for this video. Both of these controllers are fantastic overall. You know, the Vive ones will give you nothing but a great experience. As long as the touchpad is, you know, pretty much programmed to be utilized more like a traditional D-pad. The build quality is fantastic. Toggle grip is something I actually do like a lot. You know, my hands do not get fatigued, especially when you're playing VR for like ages. Your hands do become fatigued at some point. But yeah, it does feel quite nice, especially because you can rest the controller in your hand. You know, both controllers, you know, when you're, say, gripping an assault rifle in Boneworks, you know, having the toggle grip option actually is quite good. So you can sort of like, you know, orientate the controller in sort of an unnatural way that if you were gripping it, it just wouldn't be possible. And, you know, it does feel quite nice with aiming and everything else. But yeah, so pretty much to sum it up, if you want interactivity and everything else with your experience, go with the index controllers, you know, with the touch capacitive sensors and everything else. And also the hand strap, it's just an absolute amazing experience utilizing that, that controller. But yeah, the ones still are absolutely fantastic. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I shall catch you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Peace out.